It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Molloy's assistant women's basketball coach, Coach Isa Sanchez. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college women's basketball?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was kind of like part of my journey because as a college athlete in undergrad, I did my 4 years. And then because of COVID, we had an extra year of eligibility. And that's how I decided to get my MBA. And so kind of the deal when I transferred to Molloy, because I first was at St. Rose, was to do 1 year as player, exhaust my eligibility, and then coach as a graduate assistant for the second one, so I could actually finish my MBA. So that was kind of how I got into the idea of being a college coach.
What was that experience like for you playing for St. Rose's?
St. Rose, it was honestly amazing. I'm originally from Spain, so I just feel like as an international student, you always kind of look for home wherever you go. And I can say that St. Rose just fully opened the doors for me and made me feel super welcome from day one. I loved my team. Obviously, after 4 years, we've lived every single experience in the book possible. So it was a very nice and rewarding experience to be there, for sure.
Being an international player, what was it like coming to the US and getting to play collegiate basketball?
Honestly, like a dream. From a very young age, for some reason, I knew this is what I wanted to do. And it kind of just like played out on itself. I came 1 year earlier than expected. I was just supposed to come for college, but I ended up coming for my senior year of high school. Not a lot of people know this, but I played for a military school. It's called the New York Military Academy. And the reason why I was there, it's because I played that previous summer, I played AAU for City Rocks. It's a AAU team in Albany, New York. And my coach, Scott Alvarez, he's the one that was coaching at the military school. And he was like, hey, like I have bacon. Um, would you like to come play and then get recruited for college? And we kind of just accelerated the whole process in my house. I told all my friends I'm leaving, and they did not believe me because I was supposed to not leave until a year after. And that was kind of how I got to come here. And it was an amazing experience to do that.
For you, what was that feeling like putting on your first collegiate basketball uniform?
Honor for sure. Because I grew up watching the movies. I grew up watching all these the American dream, college sports, and I'm staring at myself in the mirror and I'm like, this is actually happening. And I just felt very honored that a school all the way in America had taken a chance had taken a chance on me. And it was definitely very rewarding to be there.
After your college time of playing, what was it like getting to transfer over and being a grad assistant?
Right. So I had doubts whether to, after my senior year, I had doubts whether to actually exhaust my last year of eligibility or going home. So I was debating that a lot. But then I kind of just got a gut feeling that my time was not over with basketball. And transferring to a new school and especially starting grad school, it was kind of different because I was essentially still in college and living the college life and just being at the dorms with people that just started school, right? And I felt a little bit like an outcast in that moment because I knew that my college years were nearing to the end, but I was essentially sharing a space with people that just started too. So it was definitely slow transition to get used to that feeling. But overall, I think it was good. It made me grow a lot and it kind of made me ready for the outside world. Because I feel like when I ended college, props to everybody who does it right away. but I was not ready to go into the real world yet. So I'm thankful that I got to experience these 2 years of MBA transitioning.
What were some of the things that you learned as a grad assistant to help you to become an assistant coach?
This is going to sound a little bit controversial, but that it is not that serious. Like me playing, I've always been super hard on myself. And sometimes I like have put a lot of pressure to just perform right, that I would like not, obviously I would never meet my expectations because I'm always like, oh, you should do better and you should do better. And as a college coach, I'm sitting at the bench and I'm looking at my players and I'm like, I'm so proud of them. And in a sense, I do not expect huge things from there. I just expect them to play the way they know. And I kind of see the human part of them. We're going to miss layups from time to time. We're going to miss shots. Like, we're going to turn the ball over. Like, those things happen. And I think that me as a player, when I would do that, I'm like, oh my God, like, why did I just do that? And kind of just taking a step back. And as I said, just realizing it is not that serious and kind of like transmitting this message to my players and kind of grounding them to be like, hey, like, you're good. We're here. Next play. Don't be so hard on yourself. You got this. So, yeah.
For you as a coach, what was that feeling like stepping onto that court for the first time as a coach?
It wasn't easy, Brandon. I'll tell you that. I was honestly so gutted by not playing anymore at that moment because I'm like, all of a sudden I'm dressed up in a suit. I have like a little stat portfolio and I'm like, how did I even get here? Literally like 4 months ago, I was warming up, sweating, like just ready to guard some people. And now all of a sudden I'm like all like put up and sitting at the bench. And it was definitely, obviously I would love to say it was amazing and I was good, but I was honestly not okay because it took a lot from me to like let go of my player role and stepping into that coach position. Um, Especially because I didn't actively pursue the coaching position. It was kind of like given to me throughout my trajectory as player into coaching. So it wasn't the best feeling, but at the same time, very honored and grateful that I was there and not having a pity party for myself because life goes on. And yeah, I would say like a mix of a lot of emotions in that moment.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a coach versus when you were a player?
Right. Well, when I was a player, I was locked in. Do not speak to me. I'm sorry to some of my teachers, but I'm not going to class that day because my brain was just too loud for me. I had to really like I meditated before games, listen to classical music, even took walks to the park just to like really ground myself. And because especially I feel like in America the way seasons go, they're like back to back to back to back and you barely have time to like breathe. And as I said, since I would put a lot of pressure on myself, having those moments of like just silence and getting myself ready to game, I really appreciate it. But as a coach, I'm good. I wake up, I just get ready, I get dressed, I do my makeup, and then get my little coffee, and I go into the office and, just get, shoot around ready, and I talk with my players. I get the sense of where their head is at, just have some game talks before it, and yeah, so it's a lot different.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've started to help to build for the basketball program?
Wait, sorry, can you repeat that?
Can you talk about the culture that you've started to help to build for the basketball program?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe because I was in their shoes literally like 2 days ago, I am kind of the bridge between the players and the coaching staff. Even though I am coach and still like I am very much involved with the whole coaching rotation, I feel like my players feel comfortable enough to come to me. And sometimes you just need to rant or you're just stressed and you just need somebody to validate your emotions. And because I understand that, because I was just there, I am able to create this culture of like, I got you. And I think I am the person that I would have loved to have throughout my years. I would have loved somebody to come up to me and be like, Isa, you're good. Just a game. Let's have fun and just get out of your head. And sometimes when you don't have somebody from the outside telling you that, like mental health is a real thing, especially in college athletes, and I'm not going to shy away and not admit that I struggled with mental health throughout my college years. At the same time, I had the best time. I'm not gonna just put it all negative because it was amazing, but it is a real thing, and I think that I've made it a purpose for myself to consistently check on my players, especially like, for example, we all know that as freshmen, you don't get that much playing time. As a freshman, I didn't really get a lot of time. And I like to check back on my freshmen and be like first year players and be like, how are you doing? I know that not playing sucks. Like, let's be honest, it does suck. And you're working every single day so hard for the team. I want to let you know that we do appreciate you and that you're validated, and just kind of creating that culture in between all.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
At St. Rose or at Molloy?
At Malone.
At Molloy, we are in the ECC, so we played against teams like Damon, Roberts Wesleyan. We played against CSI, some out of conference plays games. Sorry, that we had. We also played against any 10 teams like Southern Connecticut, AIC, between men. We also play against Queens. They're our town rivalry because they're literally right there down the street from us. So it's always fun to verse against them. So yeah.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Queens comes to home versus going away?
It's actually very fun at our gym because it's more small than big. It's more cozy, and I feel like the bleachers are right there next to the court, so kind of they feel like the sixth man. Especially the families of my players, they're very consistent and show up to every single game, and they cheer with us, defense, or they stand up with us, and it is very fun. I'm very grateful for the fan base that we have. They're supportive at all costs, so I'm appreciative and thankful of that because I also experienced it as a player and I knew how it felt. And then as a coach, I appreciate it even more because I'm in the bench all the time, so I get to actually see it. And it's very cool, yeah.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
Right. So we get some recruits reach out to email to us, or then we also go to prospect camps. We go to high school games. Molloy actually have some partnership with some high schools. I'm not too sure if it's like partnerships, but I know that sometimes high school kids come and they play here, and so we take the chance and we go see them, especially here in the Nassau County, but we also go all over Long Island, New York, New Jersey, and even take trips out of state. And if we are interested in a kid, we think that they're going to bring what we're looking for. We get in contact with them when it's the time to be able to get in contact with them. And then we just program official visit. We tour the school around. Some players want to stay overnight, some players don't. And then they get to know their teammates outside of coaches, because it's different when the coaches are there. Everybody wants to put a good face, and when they're not there, it's also a good face, but some players just want to get the real, like, everything. So we allow them to have that time for them on their own, and yeah, then we kind of just get in contact with them back to back until they make a decision either to come or no.
As an assistant coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that Malone jersey for the first time?
It was honestly, I could tear up. I'm very emotional, and I feel a lot. So I kind of just remembered my first time putting on the jersey and not towering their experience because I already lived it. So I want them to have the experience on their own. But it was nice. It was definitely like reminiscing a little bit, but also feeling very grateful and very proud of myself for my journey and where I'm at now.
How is that like getting to see them achieve those first big milestones in their careers, like first 3-pointers?
Sorry?
How is that like getting to see them achieve those first big milestones in their basketball career?
Yeah. Honestly, that has to be one of the best feelings ever. We just had one of our freshman, Iris Hoffman, she had her first points a couple nights ago. And the whole bench went crazy because it's like you kind of just feel it. It's like the first time that you get written up in the stats for points. And I remember, I think I feel sorry because I think we embarrassed her at one point because right after she scored, she came down because there was a free throw from the other team and she was right next to us. On the paint about to grab the free throw, and my whole bench just started to clap and like cheer for her, and she even turned around and was like, guys, stop. But it's just so genuine, like you're very like genuinely happy for that person being the first time that they do it. It's like an amazing feeling for them. I feel like we're more excited than the actual players.
What is that like getting to see them putting on that uniform for the last time?
As in my seniors.
Hmm.
Well, it's gonna happen senior night, and since I had the opportunity to play with them, it's definitely gonna be bittersweet because it is their um, last time they will be rocking the Molloy jersey. But I mean, just proud of them. Obviously, there's sad emotions to it, but like life goes on, and you just have to see it on a positive light, and just very proud of their trajectories as well.
Now, as a coach, what is it like seeing those players going into professional basketball or even getting into coaching?
Yeah, so definitely I have some players that would want to go professional, and I'm gonna help them as much as I can. I know that Europe is a big place for to go play professional, and me myself, I have some contacts with coaches in Spain, and I can always like try to reach out to those coaches and just help my players transition if that's what they want. Like I will be there supporting them every step of the way, and for sure feeling very proud that they're accomplishing it.
What are some of your future plans for the Molloy program moving forward?
So I'm gonna have to be honest. I don't know what the future declares for me. As I said, I was doing this as transitioning from playing into get into starting my professional life. And I'm not too sure if I am gonna stay coaching for longer or I'm going to start my own professional career and maybe like taking a step back in basketball and kind of closing the book for it. So I don't know yet.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college basketball?
Um, just kind of like be patient. I know that it's a big transitioning. You just graduated from being upperclassman and being a senior and probably playing major minutes, and now you're going into the a new program where you're essentially like back to like the start and you're a freshman, and it has to be like ego crushing because you're like, how can I be a freshman again? And how can I not play big minutes when I was just doing that? But I would just tell them to enjoy the whole ride and work hard, not just for this season, but already have in mind the seasons that are coming ahead. Because even myself as a freshman, I struggled to like find the light at the end of the tunnel and be like, oh my God, like am I ever going to play again? Or is it true that when I'm a sophomore or junior, I'm going to have big minutes? And I was kind of like deeming myself down and kind of just, and then it happened. I played big minutes and I had an amazing time. So just kind of like reminding them that this is part of the process and it just builds you. There's so much to learn from your upperclassmen. Like at some points, I'm like, I should have just stayed more quiet and learned even more because there's a beauty to it. Like your seniors have experienced this for 4 years. There's so many advice that they can give you. And from the country, there's also things that the seniors can learn from first year players. So it's kind of like an exchange of um, old and fresh energy, but especially to the freshmen to just trust the process and keep working because your time will come.
What advice would you give those juniors transitioning into a senior leadership role?
Have fun. Honestly, like after you've worked so hard for so many years, kind of like your senior year, you're here to like pick all the fruit that you've harvested for so long, and it's your time to really have fun, have the upperclassman title, help the incomers coming and helping them transition into the role. But just so you know that there comes a prize with being a senior. You're not just a senior, you are a senior now. So there's gonna be expectations from you. You cannot just act like a freshman or not take responsibility for your actions, because people now are looking at you. You're like somebody that people look up for. So for good or bad, for good or worse, you're being seen. And obviously when you're seen, you can also get judged at times, or just not judged per se, but kind of like you have to know that people are actually following your steps. So be mindful of that and just help the other people climb with you.
What advice would you give those players that have aspirations of playing professional basketball?
Yeah, just go for it. I mean, don't let anybody tell you no. If that's what you want to do, that's what you do. End of the story. I believe that everybody should pursue 1,000% what the calling of their heart is. If playing professional basketball, that's what you're meant to do. Just rock with the waves. And there's always going to be people that come and be like, hey, are you sure about this? And kindly and respectfully be like, yes, this is what I want. And you keep going, because it will happen. And then if that wasn't meant for you to happen, how much did you learn? And how many good experience you got from it? Because sometimes we want something and then kind of life maneuvers you in a different direction. But like, at least you're always following what you actually wanted. And then you're going to end up somewhere that then you realize that, wait, that's actually what I wanted. But like, we have a calling for a reason. And if playing professional basketball, it's what you have right now, just follow that passion.
What advice would you give those people looking to get into coaching women's basketball?
I would tell them that we are actually making a huge impact to these girls' lives. Like, there's been, unfortunately, players that they've lost their passion because of poor coaching management, right? And I'm not saying that if those coaches fall, because everybody tries their best. Like, we all genuinely try our best, but unfortunately there's people that clash. And just kind of really be mindful that when you're playing a sport, you're essentially a kid again. Like, you're playing, and what do kids do? They play. So it's normal that all your emotions will be out on the table, like frustrations, happiness, anger, crying, laughing. Like, you will experience everything with them because you're playing with their inner child. And sometimes you have to take a step back and really remind yourself, yes, winning is important, but like, it's not all that there is. You can literally change the course of their lives by the way you talk to them, by the way you help them. And that's the advice I would give to coaches. And obviously, like, build the program up and toughen them up, because I think it's important that you can have sensitive players and then just be like, hey, like, I know this is very frustrating for you, but you will find this situation again on your real life, right? So kind of preparing them also the transitioning when all these things arise as well. So you touch a lot of things, but you should definitely be mindful that they are people at the end of the day, and empathize with them, that they're not robots and they don't miss on purpose. They don't have turnovers on purpose, and no one wants to do that, right? So sometimes, like, breathe back down and empower them, but also have that personnel in the back of your head.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find the program at on social media?
Sorry?
Where can my listeners find the program at on social media?
Yes, they can find them in YouTube and on Instagram, Twitter.
Thank you again, Coach Isa, for your interview, and best luck in your future as the assistant women's basketball coach at Molloy.
Thank you so much.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Isa, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.